Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Rapid Dawn right here on Rapid Television. Right now it's time for the big conversation. My name is Victor. Okay. Nigeria's security situation remains one of the most urgent national issues in 2026, with violence courting across different regions. Recent data and reports show the scale clearly. In 2026 alone, Nigeria has recorded multiple major attacks across the country, from the northeast to the middle belt. For example, in April 2026, a military operation in Jili, Yobe State, reportedly led to the death of over 100 to 200 civilians after an airstrike targeting insurgents. Jili airstrike just days earlier in Beneshek, Borno State, a brigadier general and several soldiers were killed during a terrorist attack on a military base. Now, military base attack in March 2026, and Medigri also saw multiple suicide bombings that killed at least 23 people and injured over 100. And in Kwara State and Plateau State, recent coordinated attacks left dozens to over 160 people dead in some incidents, showing how insecurity is spreading beyond the northeast. Security agencies have also warned of planned attacks on major infrastructure in Abuja, including airports and detention facilities, showing that even the capital is on alert. All of this shows a clear pattern. Insecurity is not isolated. It is spreading, evolving, and becoming more complex. So today on the big conversation, we examine the state of security with our guest, Prince Kevin Fyneface, a security and energy consultant, public good advocate. Prince Fyneface, good morning and thank you for being here with us this morning. Hello, can you hear me?
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure. It's nice being here again.
Welcome. Let's begin the conversation. From your professional view, how would you assess the security situation in our country, Nigeria?
Well, I must say that we are not in a very good shape when it comes to security. The level of insecurity we're seeing, even though it's centered around the north mostly, it's something that spread across the country in a sense that by one way or the other, we're all affected. One life loss is good enough to have the country mourn and not to have hundreds of hundreds.
Very true.
Almost every week, you find one death or the other, and not to even have us losing men who have really, really put in so much. For you to become a brigadier general in the Nigerian military, it's not something that comes by fiat. It's something that you must have spent 20-something years in service from either your... And for that to be taken away just like that, we should really have reasons to weep, for the nation. And I can't speak that much because I'm much more like in a state of mourning for the nation. That's the kind of situation we have now, as you asked, in terms of our security situation.
Very true, and that is quite sad. We got the report as well that the Brigadier General was laid to rest yesterday with, of course, other security personnel that lost their life during that particular attack. But one of the questions that also bedeviled Nigeria is the very fact that, people keep asking, I myself am inclusive in this question, what is going on? Why is the security, why is insecurity ravaging our nation so much right now, even as we speak?
It is a good question to ask. There are many factors responsible for that. Insecurity in the country is more like a going concern. If I want to use the economic terms, why did I say that? Kidnapping is not something that just happens. It's being financed. It's well invested in. Banditry, as the media has generally called it, is also well financed, and well sponsored. Terrorism is well financed, well sponsored, and all of these insecurity activities generate a lot of revenue for those who carry out these acts. Mostly dastardly acts, against the country and the citizens of the country. So they are well financed. There's so much money that goes through all of this. So it's a going concern. It's not something that I would say, it's it's not a one-off thing, it's a going concern. Now, if we look at it from that perspective, it now calls for us to begin to ask the basic questions. Why is it still thriving? Why is insecurity still thriving? And for any business that is not following the natural course of business, when I mean natural course, it's legalized, it pays its taxes and all of that. There are processes that you can use to stop such kind of businesses from existing.
Of course.
Why don't you cut off the supply line? It simply means that there are those in the system, in the government, that also benefit. Only until recently, this administration was able to come up with some names as terror financiers, and are in the process of trying them. This list has been there for over how many years? For the past 8 years. Let's say less than 8 years, about 6 years.
Right.
When the Dubai government released some names of terror financiers, and nothing was done. We saw that some of those persons were even in the government appointed and living free like that. Until this government now, I think, I hope it's not for window dressing, that they're truly going to be doing what is necessary to ensure that those persons who have been fingered are prosecuted and the law will take its course. So if you have people who are terror financiers, Malami just yesterday was also, with his sons, were tried for terrorism-related offenses,
right.
Financing terrorism. So if they are doing that not for political reasons, then of course we're going to see the right results. It is until we do all of that, we cannot say that, the government party is trying. They don't have hands in it. If we go by what Abacha said a few years ago, later Abacha, he said if terrorism exceeds more than, you just know that it's state-sponsored. And when you talk about state sponsorship of terrorism, don't forget in Nigeria, religion, sponsors terrorism.
Yeah.
You have ethnic interest sponsoring terrorism. We saw terrorism, insecurity in the north, starting from the place of religion. Boko Haram, Western education is not allowed, and that's now snowballing to other areas. We saw what we call banditry, which is a type of, I would say, genocidal, issue, but that banditry, deliberated by the media, sponsored by the state, to water down what was going on in the middle belt to north central, north west region. We saw all of that taking place, and it was not properly reported. We know also for a fact that in Zamfara, for instance, there's an ethnic terrorism that's taking place. You have the Fulanis and the Hausas trying to assert positions, to say the Fulanis felt that they were first attacked and they were going on reprisal. We listened to the Minister of State Defense, who also legitimizes the act of the Fulanis incursions, saying that they were first attacked, and he gave the excuse. So that gives you a sense of what is going on in the northeast. If you come down to the south, currently the level of insecurity we have in the south is majorly, I would say, sea piracy and a few pockets of kidnapping here and there. Not as much as what it used to be when the militancy issue was really on. Today you have bunkering related insecurity that is taking place in the south. In the southeast, I think to some degree, some of the governors are also working up to their responsibility in taking care of that. So we have seen a
Hello, Fyneface. All right, I think the network is fluctuating there, but we do have hope to have Fyneface join us to continue with the conversation. Of course, we're talking about examining the security architecture here in our great country, Nigeria. And of course, he's been answering some of the questions and giving us some, in his professional views, some of the reasons. All right, we can hear you. Go ahead, Fyneface.
Okay, so you saw that in Southeast there's that reduction. In the Southwest, we're still having this kidnapping, an increased rate of kidnapping, mostly from those who they have tagged to be Fulani herders who are coming to kidnap the people, and internally also, we also have seen situations where people stage their kidnappings because of what comes with it, the ransom that is being paid. We've seen that in Abuja, we've seen that in Delta, in Lagos. So you have all of these pockets of insecurity taking place across the country. Now, the question I want to ask simply is that government, knowing all of this with the apparatus, the security apparatus in the country, what steps are being taken to first ensure that the right intelligence is picked, Secondly, to ensure that the citizens are well empowered to be able to take care of their own security. Thirdly, to see that we don't just have citizens well empowered to take care of their internal security, but that the right economic environment is created to reduce crime. Because crime and economic activities are related. The human being first is designed to survive. That is part of the trait of a human being.
That's right.
And so when the government doesn't create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive and to employ more people, and for people who have certain skills to be able to utilize such kind of skills, then you force people to do certain kind of things. Some people go into crime because they needed to survive. Now, that's not an excuse in itself, but that we can also run away from the fact that these things are just there, right? Some families' values and virtues have been dropped completely because of survival. I grew up in a family where my late dad would always tell you that many are the labors of the boy who want to become a clever man. If at work or if at play, always speak the truth. We grew up with such kind of virtues. It was difficult for me to want to get into crime because I heard my late dad's voice. And so it's oftentimes, even the desire is there. Even if it's just petty crime, you can't even try it because you are hearing the voice of your father. Do we have some kind of family values anymore? We don't have them. Why? Because everybody's trying to survive. Now, the government need to do what is necessary, creating an enabling environment.
All right,
we have poor power situation in the country. Yeah.
Earlier, you asked the question. I would love to throw that question back to you as well, picking up, of course, on your professional mind. When you asked, what the government is doing to ensure that there is a safe playing ground, of course, for the security apparatus or security personnel as well to thrive in fighting against insecurity here in our country, Nigeria. Now, very recently, there's a video of a young student from the University of Jos that is going viral right now. And that video has caused lots of reaction. Of course, many Nigerians are all empathetic and sympathetic as well, seeing that particular video that was captured by terrorists and posted on a group chat, from the phone of the young student that was captured. Now, the question we're asking is, doesn't the government, doesn't the security personnel, doesn't the military, personnel as well have the required equipment, to ensuring that people like this can actually be traced using technology in this time and era? Because that video was recorded and posted, and that video is going viral. That is not the only video we've seen in recent times, but we're taking that particular video to be, the main cause of conversation today because of the magnitude of that video.
Yeah, the thing is that in every video or picture, there's what they call a metadata, which is that it's always very easy to get to know where a picture is taken from, because there's the date stamp. That date stamp is not something that anybody can just easily erase.
Of course.
Even though you can adjust certain kind of pictures, pictures or image from your phone, people don't always do that. People just take videos and send. Now, for the video in question, it's easy for the government, the security agencies to trail and trace where that video was coming from which phone it was taken, and the location of that phone. All of that is possible. But you also have the situation where some of these persons in government are also agents of this insecurity. So what they simply would do is to look the other way, in as much as the financial, benefits is involved. Don't forget that sometimes some of these security agencies are the ones who go to negotiate ransom being paid. We saw that majorly in the South, where militancy was on the rise. Some of these agencies were fingered. In fact, in the course of my service to nationhood, I also had cause to apprehend one of such persons who confessed and listed names of security agents who were involved in that act of kidnapping by way of negotiating the amount that's supposed to be paid on all of that. So we have connivances, taking place that makes it difficult for them to truly and honestly carry out the job. But if it's somebody that is of high value network that is kidnapped, obviously those steps. If they kidnap maybe the president's son, I'm sure steps will be taken to get to unravel if they kidnap the Senate president's family member or even the Senate president, I don't think there's no way they don't get the information. But it's when they don't get to the nitty-gritty of what is expected or to the depth of what is expected, you just know that there's some kind of connivance that takes place. In some cases here, some of these agencies are also bedeviled with the fact that they are poorly paid, poorly funded, and so what they simply will do is to survive. And the survivors, some of them compromise, with their job and see that they work for these criminals because human life today in Nigeria is not as valuable as it used to be in the past. Now, we just move on. Imagine 100% dead.
Hello, Fyneface. We're having issues. We're having issues with the network again. We're having issues with, so your talks or your thoughts rather are not being put together right now because of the network. Maybe we'll try again. Let's get to your talk again. Anyways. Hello, can you hear us? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you now. It's a lot more better. Yeah.
Okay, I said, right?
All right.
That the security agencies are not well funded. The security agents are not well paid. As such, a result of some kind of compromises from some of these agents. That's why we find them from time to time. You find them, also working for these criminals who are supposed to be. You notice that recently there has been mass trial of, in quote, Boko Haram, terrorists. And if you want to ask a question, where were they being housed? Which correctional facilities are they being transferred to? What is the level of security preparedness in such areas? Same correctional facility officials you'll see them compromise because of benefit that they will get, some financial benefit they will get, allowing them to do or be certain kind of places. We've also seen all of that. So we can there's a whole gamut of responsibilities that we can look at, which is that we need to tell ourselves some kind of truth. Let's get these agencies well funded. Let's get the agents well, paid, so that we can up the standard of recruitment and ensure that only people who are truly qualified are gainfully engaged into these services. Do we do the proper profiling in our recruitment processes? The answer is no. There's no proper profiling. I remember being, recruited into the system many years back. I was well vetted, to my village. But I don't know how they do that these days. I doubt if they do it effectively and, as expected, because of political considerations. With the more you have allocation given to politicians to bring in people, the more they will not do proper scrutiny in the recruitment process. Okay. We need to be able to change our recruitment process to ensure that people who are supposed to be employed into these services are truly psychologically prepared for such, and they are fit for such responsibilities. Then we'll now see that we can increase. I've also recommended some time ago on your station that the average security agent should not be paid anything less than what they pay a councillor, and all the benefit that comes to a councillor. I think it's ideal we should do that. Okay. Then as much as we have our politicians earning so much money, we should also have our security agents earning so much money, and across board, or we change our salary and emolument strategy, and ensure that people are not paid so much on one side and other people are taking less. But I think we need to take away the British mentality, the colonial mentality of paying security agents far less than they deserve, and pay politicians much more than they even deserve. And if we flip it and do that, we will get to see that there will be crime reduction and there will be improved service delivery by our security agencies. The moment we change our salary and incentive structure, welfare and relationship, that will change a lot of things.
Let's talk about intelligence sharing very briefly now, Fyneface, because do recall the attacks that happened in Plateau State, the Angwarukuba axis, basically. Now there were talks and there were reports, speculations that there was a form of intelligence being shared within that time, but of course the security personnel did not act on it, and these speculations has been there as well, not just on that particular attack, where it is being said that there's weak intelligence sharing between between, military or interagencies in this part of the country. Do you think that's also part of the situations that is affecting the security nature in our country, Nigeria? If that is so, what can be done to improve on proper intelligence sharing and action eventually?
See, so, it still boils down to one thing. It still boils down to the recruitment process. Many years ago, the embassy issue, about 80 officers and men were killed. They were ambushed, killed by this community, and it was made possible because somebody from the Nigerian police force divulged the information because he's a member of the group and it's from that region, that's a community, and he divulged that information and they were ambushed. So intelligence sharing among security agencies have always had this challenge because of the ethnic religious interests. I've seen a report, an intelligence report from the DSS with the CSLA before. Something that was sent to the Minister of FCT. I saw the document with the CSLA. Intelligence reports, weekly intelligence reports, it was seen. We also saw the one that was sent to the Commissioner of Police in Ogun State, in the public space. So you always have this thing. It is as a result of the ethnic religious sentiment. More so, there's what we also know as the interagencies rivalry. There's the pettiness that is there among these agencies, always having this preference status. The army will tell you they are superior. We saw what happened recently in Bayelsa, where the Air Force and the army were fighting. It is that interagency rivalry. You also see a situation where there's no respect from the military to the police or other agencies because they believe they are superior. As a result of multiple coups that they've been involved in, there's that pain they have that they are superior to every other force. There is that interagency rivalry between the police and the DSS. If you bring these two groups together now, if the DSS is taking out an operation and the police comes in, police want to show superiority because the DSS came from the NSO branch of the E branch of the police. So there's that interagency rivalry that makes it difficult for them to even take intelligence that is being shared in their midst. So we can address all of this as a nation. The point I'm making is that our recruitment process is as important as our operational, demands. If we don't have the recruitment process right, we cannot get operational demand right. So that's where we have a challenge with intelligence sharing. But you see, we can have it. We can also have the agencies begin to have this aspect of state policing, a bit of state policing, even though currently it's all exclusive. But we can do a bit of state policing. How do you do that? You empower locals, start building sources and empower locals to give you the right information that can be processed to give you the right intelligence. It means that they need to be well funded because you can't get sources that will give information without at least passing out some cash. These agencies are not well funded. We just heard recently that 2023-24-25 budget were not well implemented. So you can imagine how much these agencies have received to do that. Especially when you have poor job security and poor welfare system. If we address that, then of course we can have the right, support that will come in from among the agencies.
All right. Still talking about support and all of that. Also, during the Plateau attack, do recall that the president actually did travel down to Plateau State, and of course, we saw the report that he stopped at the airport to have the conversation with the victims and members of the society. But after that as well, he gave an instruction, for over 5,000 CCTV cameras to be deployed, there in Plateau State to help fight against insecurity in Plateau State. Now, with that kind of order, would that be enough? And other marching orders, of course, that has been given. Are these enough to fight insecurity currently?
First question I want to ask: what was the threat analysis resulting to the recommendation of 5,000, CCTV cameras? You don't just deploy CCTV cameras without first doing your threat analysis. The level of threats will determine the type of deployment you're going to do. If they have done proper threat analysis and have come up with such recommendation, then we need to see the reports so that I'll be able to give an informed decision. The president was only just doing what I would call window dressing. He never visited victims. Please, I think we need to be able to correct that. The president stopped by at the airport and spent only 10 minutes there to get to have selected persons for window dressing, for the photo ops, because people were calling out on the president for not have shown any form of a sympathy. The president lacks empathy. And that's not good for somebody who call a president. The president of a nation should have deep empathy, towards the well-being and the welfare of the citizens of the country. You don't have victims who are already mourning their dead, who have been so victimized, traumatized, and you bring them to another location to have handshakes. No, that's not presidential. What is presidential is that you visit the families, a few of the families, not bring them in one location. You visit a few of the families. That's how you mourn the dead. You show respect to the dead or the victims. You visit those families. Then you now look at how get the right report. You want to get that report. To date, what has happened after the president made that statement? We run a democracy, and as such, you don't just go and not like the way you awarded the what do you call it, East-West Road or the coastal road that they just did without going through procurement process that we have as law. It was not followed, and the 15 trillion was awarded to a company without going through the procurement process. So that's not how it works. So the president's statement, I don't take it as anything. It was just window dressing, and I don't think anything will come out of it. No, it won't come out of it. It is the responsibility of the government to look at the security situation in the state, come up with professional, outcome, and say this is what they're going to do, because they know what is going on, they know where these issues are coming from. People see things before those things, the crime takes place. Are they creating room for people to say what they see or say what they hear? There have to be that opportunity created for the citizens to take ownership, and the way they do that is that you create that room for them to be able to anonymously drop information that can be utilized as intelligence. Then you also want to be able to empower the people to some degree, that now we have local vigilantes and farmers and hunters, whatever it is that you call them, have been allowed by law to carry arms. And so you want to be able to have more of that, so that people are well empowered to protect themselves. We heard the DGSS some time ago also mentioned that people need to get armed, so that they can protect themselves, which is ideal. In fact, the first one of the human rights that we have in our constitution is the law of preservation of life. So you're entitled to defend yourself. So people should be told on how to defend themselves, be taught how to defend themselves, and be given the opportunity to do that. If we do more of that, then we'll see that this Plateau's issue is nothing but genocide and jihad that is taking place in Plateau. Because we are seeing every day the reduction of these citizens of Plateau, indigenous of Plateau. There's a reduction in their number, and there's an increase, of people who are strangers, who came in as strangers to that land to take over the land. We've seen that also in Benue, genocide taking place in Benue. We saw that in Kaduna. I mean, during Erufai's time, there was a mass increase of genocidal attacks that took place. Communities being ransacked, destroyed, then renamed to Islamic names in Kaduna. We're seeing something coming up in Benue in the same light. We have seen some, states are completely gone. So let's call it what it is. Genocide is taking place in some part of the north. Plateau is one of those places, and there's a subtle jihad taking place. If you don't convert, then you are completely destroyed or made slaves. So that we can also call what it is. That's why the crime still continues, insecurity continues in those regions, because it has a religious connotation as much as its ethnic connotation. So, right. I mean, that's what it is.
Let's look at solution regarding this particular situation issue right now. In your professional view, what do you think is a realistic long-term solution to solving the situation of insecurity here in Nigeria?
First, we need to sit down as a country and ask ourselves, do we want to continue as a country or go our separate ways? That question is key. If we say yes, we want to stay as a country, then we want to ask ourselves, how do we serve one another through this 4+1 principle? Justice, fairness, equity, equality plus accountability. Then after that, we need to be able to allow for true federalism to take place, that every state will function as a sub-independent of the nation. So you generate, you do whatever you want to do, and only extend to the federal. So if we observe true federalism, then we'll be able to have our nation truly as a more like, an egalitarian society where equality, fairness, equity, and justice is supreme. Then there will be accountability of those who will be saddled with the responsibility to manage all of these affairs, so that nobody is given an appointment without being accountable of that which is being given to them. And no president will just come and just go like that, because the president swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, but he has failed. Now, the current National Assembly cannot even call him to question it. Why are we having this level of insecurity? The president is supposed to have been invited to the National Assembly to come and explain, as the commander-in-chief, why do we continue to have this constant insecurity that is taking place? If you cannot explain, then they impeach him. But they don't have that capacity because they are just rubber stamp. They are proven to be rubber stamp. It takes them less than 3 hours to approve the president's demand for money, to borrow money, and never done anything as regards our level of insecurity. I recently heard, allegedly, that the senior president said 2 months after election, insecurity will stop. What does he know? Why did he make that kind of statement? Why is he not being questioned to come and explain by the security agencies to come and tell us what they meant by that, and how can we address that? If the senior president, if number 3 citizens could make that kind of statement, then we need to be able to ask more questions. We have to invite you to ask more questions. So those are the solutions I have, for us as a country. We need to be able to sit down and ask ourselves that question. We need to be able to ask to know how we intend to, serve one another. Then we need to be able to allow the states, to operate through federalism. We cannot continue to have this central system of governments. It's not working. It has never worked. Let every state function independently and take care of the national, which is key. Then you should be able to have a society that is good for all, with minimal crime rates, like we find in Norway, in Sweden, and other advanced societies.
All right, thank you so much, Prince Fyneface, for your time.
Because there's a quest for natural resources. Also, there's fueling insecurity in Zamfara. The gold is fueling insecurity in Niger. Are you aware Niger have a high deposit of platinum and other mineral resources, gold, lithium, and all of that? Right. Those things are also currently fueling insecurity because different groups want to occupy a swath of areas and believe that they have to be the ones to determine what goes out of those places. It's fueling insecurity. In the south, we have the oil. Crude oil also fueling insecurity because now Tompolo was given the contract to monitor secure the pipelines. Other groups are saying they also want to take a piece of it. That is also fueling security. Some of them are going to cause some kind of oil spillage and all of that, so as to make it look like they need to also get that. So we need to look at how to be able to secure our natural resources and share that justicably, where there's equity, fairness, and equality, so that then there's accountability. Once we're able to take care of all of this, then we'll reduce crime to at least 85 to 90%, because you can't completely wipe out crime.
All right.
There are people who always take out the devil's advocates' responsibility.
All right. Once again, thank you so much, Prince Kevin Fyneface, for your time with us on the program this morning. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Of course, we've been talking with Prince Kevin Fyneface, a security and energy consultant, a public good advocate, and we've been examining the security situation here in our country, Nigeria. Of course, he has given us some answers, or some responses, rather, to some of the questions that we have asked him. But of course, this is all we're going to be taking on the conversation today. Do remember that you can follow us on all our social media pages across our platforms at Rapid TV, and of course, you can get to watch all our episodes on our YouTube platform, which is at Official Rapid TV. And wherever you are in the world, you can watch us live using our website, www.arabianradiotv.com. My name is Victor RK. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.